Hello. Well, that was an interesting July Basho. Stop throw!
Throw the salt, get in the ring. Welcome to the Dohyo.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Dohyo here on MrJWags channel. We're going to be talking about that July Basho. I got some thoughts. So I had planned for this episode to start with me being very angry about gyojis, and about hair pulls, and about like mawashimatas that were mistimed, and about how maybe a seniority system isn't great when your job is basically all about reflexes and eyesight, but somehow it didn't become about that. Hopefully this is going to be a very rare occurrence. This would be like the one COVID kyujo basho. Because it wasn't a cancellation, and it wasn't like a ghost basho. We've seen those things before. This was something utterly different. Just look back to day 13 when we had 5 consecutive COVID kyujos in a row. I mean, it looked like the beginning of a horror movie. We promoted 4 Juryo wrestlers up just to make like a Makauchi banzuke that was somewhat full. It was insane. So yeah, we're going to get to who won and all the other good things, but we just have to realize that this, as a test of who was the best Rikishi in July, we're going to come up very short in that. We're going to come up just who was the best person who managed to make it through 15 days without blowing a positive, as it were. My biggest question is, what is the banzuke going to look like? We can't have all 15, yes, 15 Makauchi COVID kyujos just hold rank. Now the difficulty is, of course, going to be what is fair for a tournament where we did, in fact, complete 15 days of the tournament. I'm hoping it's going to be something close to what we've been doing so far, where if someone has not yet reached Kachikoshi or Makekoshi, they're going to basically hold rank. But if they had already achieved a Kachikoshi, or had already achieved like a Makekoshi in the case of like Dayamami, perhaps they would take that into account into the next one, but I would not want to be the banzuke committee right now. I had never seen anything like this, but perhaps some of you who have been watching for much longer than I have. Quick sidebar. Now, we've talked at reasonable length on this channel about the Kosho Seido system, or the public injury system. Now, this lasted from like the 70s to the beginning of the 2000s, and this was it was a process where like you could just call Kosho Seido. I'm sure that's exactly how it happened, and you could freeze rank for a tournament if you were hurt. And in recent years, whenever we have like a spate of Rikishi injuries, people are always saying like, should we bring back the Kosho Seido system or something like that? I have advocated for a modified version of it myself. You can look back through the if you want to check that out. Well, if any of you did not necessarily like how sort of choppy this basho was and how many Rikishi were missing, you might not want a return to the Kosho Seido system. Many of the problems with the Kosho Seido system were sort of apparent in this tournament with all the COVID kyujo. Now, obviously, COVID kyujo was involuntary as opposed to the Kosho Seido system, which would be voluntary, but it's still the same concept where we have a lot of Rikishi who have gone out of the tournament and they're going to be holding rank. Now, the practical side effect of this is that we end up with the end of certain tournaments with no one left to face contenders. Like, Ichinojo should have been facing some better people down the stretch. Tochi Notion should not have been facing a Komasubi from Maegashira 8. So for anyone's advocating for a return to the old Kosho Seido system, I hope you like this tournament, because that would be a very similar effect. Quick sidebar. Now, I'm not really going to hold myself to the predictions because, frankly, I don't think anyone expected 15 COVID kyujos and then, like, just Takanosho as a cherry on top of that. But I will definitely own up to my Yusho pick, Matakiyumi. He was COVID kyujo, but he was nowhere near Yusho form. In fact, he was going to be very lucky to get his Ozeki rank back after Kataban. And I will also hold myself to me thinking Ichinojo was going to have a great basho, 'cause he did! First Yusho, baby! I'm very excited about this, because I think he's been a very interesting Rikishi his entire career. He's had several excellent tournaments, at least 2, if you've been following the Shadow of Hakuho, that in the absence of Hakuho would have led to championships. And of course, his last one of those, before this one, was a little bit controversial because he was only 1 win behind Hakuho and never faced him at all in the tournament. Very happy Ichinojo finally managed to break through, get another excellent tournament, get a 12-3, take that Yusho. In this tournament, Ichinojo also got his 3rd Shukunsho Outstanding Performance Award and his 9th Kinboshi Gold Star win over a Yokozuna. And as I mentioned in the very first Quick Strike, that hair pull match between Ichinojo and Takakeisho, very important down the stretch. If they had enforced the hair pull rule, Ichinojo would not have been fighting for a championship on the last day. And in fact, that Terunofuji-Takakeisho match would have been the championship match. It does feel a little weird that this is Ichinojo's Yusho. As I said before, he's had 2 much better tournaments. It's just he was lucky that this Basho was a little more pillowy soft in its banzuke competition as his previous amazing tournaments. It sort of feels like Pacino winning an Oscar for Scent of a Woman. I mean, like, Godfather, Godfather 2, Dog Day Afternoon, Serpico, Scent of a Woman? Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still going to count in the Wikipedia bio, right? And also on the subject of gyojiing, that very interesting match between Wakamoto Haru and Terunofuji. Now, of course, the issue was not that a Mawashi Mata can't be called, it was just the timing was very, very bad, and clearly both wrestlers were not on board with what the gyoji was thinking. And the question everyone's always going to have is, did Wakamoto Haru have a chance to get his first Kimboshi there? We'll never know. A mixed feeling on the happy side. Happy feeling. The return of the rivalry of Terunofuji and Takakeisho. Very excited about that. It's felt a little one-sided in the past year. I mean, one of them's made Yokozuna, and the other one has sort of held serve as an Ozeki, going kyujo every 3rd tournament. Wrong about that. He ended up holding together, Takakeisho getting double-digit wins, very close to another Yusho. Excited for him about that. Terunofuji, looking a little more mortal every single Basho. I mean, I hate to say it, but yeah, if you look at last year of Terunofuji, this is clearly a diminished model. 12 wins, I think, might be the ceiling for Terunofuji here on out. I don't see us getting another 14 or 15 win Yusho out of him. But I do see him winning at least one more this year. Now, it wouldn't be a recap episode unless we had some of Uncle Sumo's attaboys. Of course, Uncle Sumo's Attaboys is a recurring segment where we give a little extra attaboy to certain wrestlers who had a really great tournament. First of all, Shodai. Okay, so for some reason he just really loves starting off 1-4. This is his 3rd consecutive Basho doing that. And he not only managed to clear Kataban, he managed to get his first double-digit win total since January of last year. Okay. Ozeki Shodai finally showed up. It just happened to be just like the last 10 days of the tournament. Stop losing so many at the beginning. Dude. Takarafuji, I was very, very worried about him in the early days, but then he managed to have a monster second week, get a 9-6. Awesome. Attaboy Takarafuji. Oho, the big young man, has finally started to show a little promise in Makauchi. Got an 8-7, his first Kachikoshi in Makauchi. Great job. I can't wait to see what happens next for him. Oho, attaboy. Makauchi debutant Nishiki Fuji goes 10-5, gets a Kanto show. He got a fusen in there, but that's okay. You still had a great debut tournament, and you made it all 15 days, which not everyone did. Attaboy Nishiki Fuji. Attaboys for a few people who didn't quite make it through the tournament. Nishikigi and Tobizaru, I would like to give special shoutouts for getting their Kachikoshi before going COVID Kyujo. 2 guys I thought were going to struggle a bit this tournament. They did very well. So Nishikigi and Tobizaru, attaboy. And Kota Nowaka, this was a really heartbreaking one. I expected him to do well, and he was having, it looks like, sort of a breakout tournament. I mentioned in the Quick Strike, I think Kota Nowaka could be easily going up to where we saw Ichinojo back in like 2018. Just a regular giant blue force at like Sekiwake Komusubi for a few years. If not better. So to you 3 guys, sorry you ended up going COVID Kyujo, but you were having really good tournaments up until then. Attaboy. Some lower division attaboys from Juryo. Juryo 1 East Ryuden wins his 2nd Juryo Yusho. He's going to be back up with a 12-3. Excellent tournament from him. He should get a significant jump into the Maegashira ranks. And Juryo 13 West Hokuseiho back up into Juryo. This time did much better than his really disastrous turn last time. 11-4. Took the Juryo Jun Yusho. He's not going to be up in Makauchi next time, but great tournament. He should be up to the point where maybe we'll see him by the end of the year. Huge upset in Makushita. Yoshii, a young 18-year-old, upset Kinbozan, who I expected to win the tournament. Now, Kinbozan was up there at Makushita 1, so his 6-1 should bump him up into Judo. We had Yoshii, he's down there in like the Makushita 30s, but he's only 18, just got a 7-0. Hopefully he is going to start joining this Makushita Juryo wave that is probably going to be clearing out the veterans at the lower end of the Makuuchi spectrum by the beginning of next year. I mean, along with Kinbozan. And of course, the Sandanme Yusho goes to Asanoyama. But you're not going to get an attaboy for me out of that one, because I sort of expected that one. I mean, really, you should be cleaning up down there, Asanoyama. And on the subject of mixed feelings, there were certain people who had very good tournaments on paper, but I thought they should have done that based on where they were ranked. Guys like Onosho and Meisei, they were ranked very, very low, and I expected them to do pretty well, and they did pretty well. Meisei especially got promoted pretty aggressively down the stretch, so maybe we can give him a little wiggle room. In fact, he seems to do better the better his opponents get, so hopefully he's completely done with that injury and can continue working his way up the banzuke. But yeah, we also had some people in this tournament like Hoshoryu, Wakataka Kage, Abe, Kiribayama. These were guys who had good, not great tournaments. They all sort of got around the Kachi-Koshi line, not too much ahead of it. This is sort of where I expect these guys to be. They are the next generation of, like, sumo seniors, I guess. They're juniors right now. They're just waiting for the top crew to thin out a bit, and then they're going to be, like, varsity seniors pretty soon, pushing the young freshmen around a bit. Am I getting a little bit too, like, grease with this? But yeah, no attaboys for you. I expect you guys to excel. Higher level. The bar has been raised. Now it's time to see who's riding that midnight train to Judo. Now this tournament isn't going to be as confusing as the last tournament, primarily because we don't have that many people to talk about. Now we have like one real easy exchange we can make. It's because it's right there at the line of Makuuchi and Judo. First of all, Ryuden coming up. Chimaru going down. It's the top rank to the low rank. That's definitely going to happen. Shimano Umi had a 1-14. Ooh. So Shimano Umi went 1-14 at Juryo 9. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be falling all the way down there. But the question is, who's coming up? Now, after Ryuden, the next highest ranked Kachikoshi was Mitoryu with a 9-6 at Juryo 4. Now, normally I'd say that would promote him around up to Juryo 1, but hey, I'm willing to give him like an extra like rank and a half bump on this one. So that looks like we've got two definites going up and down. Now, here's where things get a little bit weird. Dayamami had accumulated a 2-10 record up until day 13 when he went COVID kyujo. So, are we going to count him as just like a hold rank guy, or are we going to count him as you already had your Makekoshi and were Juryo bound before then? I don't know. The question is, who would we promote in his place? Now at Juryo 8, there's Hirado Umi, and he's got a 10-5, but that's a very huge jump for a 10-5 all the way from Juryo 8 up to Makuuchi. But if we're looking for, after Mitoryu, the next Kachikoshi, it's a Juryo 5, Chiyonokuni, we all love him, but still, he's only an 8-7, and to jump an 8-7 from Juryo 5 all the way up to Makuuchi, I'm not going to say it's unprecedented, but that's a huge, huge jump. So I will be interested to see what they do with that third slot. It's all going to depend on the Banzuke committee and how they handle COVID kyujo, because I don't know that yet. So where are we in the story of sumo? Now, as I've mentioned before, one of my favorite indie television dramas, Game of Thrones, you have different sorts of episodes, like Attack, Dragon, Blackwater type episodes, and you would also end up having chess piece episodes where we set up our characters to get to those major conflict points. This feels like a classic chess piece sort of basho. A lot of people are just going to be sort of frozen in place because of COVID. Our Sanyaku and our is going to be largely frozen. We have all of our Ozeki for the next tournament, looks like. Whoa, who thought that was going to happen? Most of the top Maigashira are probably going to come back right in the same place, so it feels like we're reloading for almost another run of the same episode. I am incredibly happy for Ichinojo, and so glad that he has got his first Yusho. He has been a Rikashi who has been deserving of a Yusho, and I'm glad he finally got the chance to do it, outside of the Shadow of Hakuo. So I guess the MVP, not MVP, but I guess the most impactful factor for this tournament was COVID. COVID is going to be sort of hanging over everything. And I say this like not as a wrestler, but I say this as a person who's made a living in live entertainment for the past 20 years of his life. COVID really, really sucks. It is impossible to plan anything because we just don't know what's going to happen on the COVID front. I think the JSA did absolutely the best they could in getting this U-show all the way to the finish line, but once we start getting into double digits of COVID kyujos, is it really worth it just to get to the end so that someone can raise the trophy? Is it the safest option anymore to do that, to continue to throw these guys into a place where we know that maybe positives don't show up right away, they show up a few days later? Is this an unacceptable risk for them? Or is this a risk as a society we've all decided we're going to accept? Here in New York, masking is now optional for live performances. And when you're on stage as an actor, you don't get that choice. You sort of have to be unmasked and deliver the performance as directed. It is thought that this will bring more ticket buyers in, but is this also going to be a thing where the lack of masking is going to drive certain other parts of the audience away? No one knows. No one has a best case scenario here because all we have are unsatisfying choices for how to move forward. I can only hope that as we go forward, we continue to err on the side of keeping people safe. As an actor who likes making money, whoever wants to buy a ticket, show up. I really like being able to make a living doing the thing I love. Mixed feelings. Thank you so much for joining us on this interesting episode of the Dohyo. Stay tuned for some fascinating episodes before the next Basho. Of course, our bolder predictions. I'm going to be doing a super large wrap-up of the Shadow of Hakuho, so you're not going to want to miss that. Those of you in the Pacific Northwest, check out the GRISWOLDS Broadway Vacation, in which I will be appearing at the 5th Avenue Theater from September 10th to beginning of October. There will be links down below. Alright, everyone, stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy, and I will see you next time on the Dohyo.